Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. I am. I'm really excited for this video because as you know, we're getting close to Christmas now and I thought it's time to share some Swedish Christmas classics with you guys, all made vegan. And this video is in collaboration with Aito, which is a Finnish company who make oat products, and I'll be using their Aito oat for whipping, which is great for baking and desserts. I'll also be using the Aito oat cuisine, which is great as a substitute for cooking cream, and I'll also be using their organic oat drink, which snuck his way into one of the recipes as well. And Aito is a company focusing on oat products, like I said, and most of their products are actually gluten-free, and I think it's great that they offer sustainable alternatives to what we would otherwise use in our traditional cooking around Christmas. So the recipes we'll be making today is Swedish Lussekatter or saffron buns. I'll also be making some salted chocolate truffles because it's not Christmas without chocolate. And the last recipe is Jansson's Frestelse, which is like a potato gratin, but yeah, a little bit special for Sweden, I guess. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's cook some Christmas goodies. The first recipe we're making is Lussekatter or Swedish saffron buns, and to start I'm just soaking some raisins in some water. And into the rest of the water I'm actually gonna just pour the saffron, which allows the flavors to come out. So I'm just pouring this ground saffron into the water, but if you have saffron strands, you could actually take some of the sugar and use a pestle and mortar to combine the saffron with the sugar instead, which also allows the flavors to develop. So once that's all mixed, I'm gonna heat up my liquids. So I'm adding this Aito oat drink to a saucepan. And to that oat drink, I'm gonna add some rapeseed oil, but you could use another oil that has a very neutral flavor as well. And then I'm taking the pot off to the hob, and I'm gonna warm this liquid just until it's like body temperature. And while that's heating up, I'm gonna break up my yeast. So I'm taking 25 grams of yeast here, and I'm just crumbling it into a big bowl that I'm going to mix the whole dough in. So I just crumble it and then I go back to the pot and check how warm it is. I just use my finger, but if you want to use a thermometer, it should be 37 degrees. And then I'm pouring about half of it into the yeast, and then I mix it really well to dissolve the yeast into the liquid, and it's really important that you dissolve it completely before pouring in the rest of the liquid. Then I'm just gonna pour in my saffron water that's been sitting for about 10 minutes now, and I'm also gonna add a pinch of salt and pour in my sugar. I'm using just plain sugar here, but you could use brown sugar or even muscovado sugar. I tried once, it was really nice. And then I just mix that in, try to dissolve the sugar a little bit. And once that's all mixed, I'm gonna start adding my flour little by little as I mix with my wooden spoon, and I'm just using all-purpose wheat flour here. And I keep mixing it with my wooden spoon, and I keep adding more and more flour. This mixture is actually quite sticky, so don't worry, you'll see what it looks like in a minute. But yeah, I just mix it with my wooden spoon until I can't anymore, and then I put some flour on my hands and I dig in with my hands and I just mix it. And now I'm just gonna work this dough for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's a good arm workout. If you have a standing mixer, like a baking machine, then you can use that to work the dough for about 5 minutes. When the dough's ready, you can see it's become quite elastic and it stays more or less together. And then I just sprinkle some more flour on top and place a cloth over that to let it rise for about 45 minutes. It should double in size. And once it's doubled in size, I remove the cloth and I get ready to bake my shapes. First, I'm putting some flour onto my surface to make sure this mixture doesn't stick too much, and then I just spread it out. Then I put some more flour on my hands to not allow this dough to stick too much. It's good to keep a little jug of flour on hand, and then I just tip the whole dough out onto the table and I knock it about a little bit with my hands, allowing some of the air to come out, and yeah, just shaping it a little bit. Then I cut the dough in half, and this dough makes about 16 Lussekatter. So when you've split it in half, you're splitting each half in half again, so you have 4 pieces, and then you make 4 pieces out of each piece. That makes 16. And if you have a dough scraper, it could be easier to use than a knife, but a knife works just perfect also. Then I just take one little piece of dough and roll it a little bit into a ball in my hands, and then I roll it between my hands like this to make a long sausage-like thing. I keep rolling it out until it's about 20 centimeters, and then I scroll the ends in towards the middle. And I keep doing this over and over again. I keep putting some flour on my hands, just a light dusting on the hands and a light dusting on the surface, which will ensure that the dough doesn't stick too much to your hands. And then you want to use a firm grip as you work the dough, and yeah, keep adding a tiny bit of flour if you find it sticks to the surface or your hands. So you just roll it out from the center out towards the ends, and then you scroll it in opposite directions in towards the middle to create this S shape that is characteristic of the Lussekatter. Then you place them all on a baking tray and place a cloth over so that you can let them rise again for about 30 minutes or until they double in size. You see they've risen a lot here. And then I'm taking this Aito oat for whipping that I'm gonna use to brush over my buns before I bake them, and this will ensure that they stay moist and get a bit of a glossy look at the end. So I just brush it onto each Lussekatter all the way around. And once I've finished brushing, I'm going to add the raisins, and I've soaked these so that they won't burn in the oven, so it's a good thing to do. And then I'm putting them into the middle of each scroll of each bun, so that makes 2 per bun. And then I'm gonna pop them in the preheated oven that's at 225 degrees, and I'm gonna bake them for about 7 minutes, anywhere from 6 to 8 depending on your oven. You will see when they're golden brown, they are ready. I take them out of the oven and I place them on a griddle so that they can cool nicely. And this mixture makes 2 trays for me, so I bake them after each other, and then I just let them all cool together. And they're best eaten hot, maybe with some mulled wine, or in Sweden we call it glögg. Next up, we're gonna make Jansson's Frestelse, which is the potato gratin we all eat on Christmas Eve. And to start off, I'm gonna just put some butter into my dish so nothing will stick to it. I just spread a light layer of vegan margarine or butter all around the dish, and then I'm gonna prepare the liquid for my gratin. So I'm opening up a packet of haute cuisine from Aito and I'm pouring it into a mixing bowl. And to that, I'm gonna add some cornstarch, or you could use arrowroot powder if you prefer. And this is to thicken once it's cooking. I'm also adding some spices as well as some sugar. So there's cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and some garlic powder there. And I'm also adding a really good pinch of sea salt, as well as some apple cider vinegar. And then I'm just gonna whip this up to make it all incorporated. I don't want any lumps from the cornstarch in there. I just whip it up good and then set it to the side while I prepare the potato. So first of all, I'm just gonna peel a whole lot of potatoes. This is like meditation, so just put on some nice music or podcast and get into it. And the peels you could actually cook with some oil and salt in the oven to make some crisps. It's a good thing I learned recently. So once you've peeled all the potatoes, I just cut them into slices first, and then I'm gonna chop them into matchsticks. And this is a good thickness you see here. Once all the potatoes have been chopped up, I'm just putting them into the bowl to the side, and then I'm gonna chop up an onion. And I'm using just a normal brown onion that I'm slicing into half moons. Then I'm ready to prepare the gratin. So I start by placing a layer of potatoes at the bottom. And I make about 3 layers for each gratin and then 1 extra potato layer on top. So keep this in mind when you distribute your potatoes. And then on top of the potatoes, I sprinkle some of the onions. And I also add some capers, which adds a nice saltiness and another texture and flavor to the gratin. Then I keep going with my layers, potatoes, onion, capers. And as always, you can find all these recipes and the full measurements for them in a link in the description box. So just hop on down there if you want to make the recipes yourself. And then the final layer goes onto the gratin, and like I said, it's a potato layer. I just want to cover all the other bits in there, and then I'm ready to pour on my liquid. I tried to spread it as evenly as possible, and then I sprinkle some breadcrumbs over the top, and I'm using some gluten-free panko breadcrumbs, but you can use any kind you like. And on top of that, I'm adding some pieces of vegan butter or margarine, which just helps make a nice surface on the top and adds to the lovely richness that is Christmas food. Then it's ready to bake in the oven, so I pop it in for a whole hour, so you have lots of time to relax and do other things. And once it's ready, it looks lovely and golden like this, and a little bit untraditional, but I'm garnishing with some parsley to give it a little bit of green. And that is the potato gratin done. Final recipe we're going to make is chocolate truffles with sea salt, or as we say in Sweden, chokladtrufflar. And to start this off, I'm going to chop up some dark chocolate finely. This is some 70% dark chocolate, and yeah, just use good quality and always remember to buy fair trade. And keep on chopping until you've chopped 100 grams of really fine chocolate. Then I'm preparing a bain-marie by placing a glass bowl on top of a pot of boiling hot water. And to make the ganache for the truffles, I start by pouring Aito oat for whipping into the bowl. And usually I would do this over the hob so that the water keeps being hot and everything keeps melting together. But for the purpose of this video, I'm showing you like this. And then I add in some coconut oil on top of the oat product. And onto that, I'm just gonna sprinkle all my chocolate and let it slowly melt into the other liquids and create a really glossy, beautiful mixture. But we can't forget about the salt, because these are salted truffles, and that's my favorite flavor with chocolate. I love chocolate and sea salt, and I hope you will too. So once it's all in the bain-marie, I'm just folding it gently, because chocolate can be a little bit temperamental and get grainy if you move it around too fast. So just use your gentle touch and you'll have silky smooth chocolate in no time. So once it's all melted together, I'm gonna pour the chocolate mixture into another bowl, as the previous bowl is pretty hot now and it's time to chill all of this chocolate goodness, so it's easier to do in a not heated bowl. I spread it out into the bowl and then I let it chill in the fridge for about 2 to 3 hours, or until it's set, and then it's time to start shaping it into ball shapes. And that's easier said than done. If you have a little ice cream scooper or a melon baller that already makes round shapes, it's easier. Otherwise, you just pinch it between your hands and then roll it between your hands to make something that resembles round shapes. And once you've done the shape, you can toss it into some cocoa powder, and those are the truffles. So you just keep repeating this over and over until you've used all the mixture up. It's a messy job, but it's really fun and it's a great thing to do together. I'm sure that kids would love this as well. And once you've rolled all of them, those are your truffles done. Keep them in the fridge until you want to eat them. Maybe bring them out 5 minutes beforehand and enjoy them with your friends and family over Christmas, or just for any other festive occasion. I really hope you've enjoyed these recipes and want to try them. I know I will be making them all the way through Christmas. And yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed, and you'll find all the recipes in the description box, like I said. And yeah, happy Advent, happy Christmas, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.